Hi guys, and welcome to the jamsarny Sunderland end of season player awards. That is a mouthful, isn't it? That is an absolute mouthful. Now, I know that all the Sunderland players are currently sat at home watching this. They grip to their screens thinking to themselves, how could how can my life get any better? I've already got the best job in the world. I'm in my flashy, picturesque apartment or gorgeous mansion house. How can my life get any better? Now, of course, the answer to that is getting an award from this video, although there isn't actually physically any award at all. It's more of a thumbs up and a well done, mate. Now, there are a few categories for this. We have a player of the season, we have a young player of the season, we have a most improved player of the season, we have a goal of the season, and we have an underrated player of the season. A bit like a wild card, someone who I think deserves a mention but isn't actually worthy of the other awards. In saying that, I was saying this the other day in a different video, I think, it goes to show how good of a season we have had when there's literally 5 or 6 different candidates, genuine candidates and people or players who can throw their hand in for each and every award. There's so many, it was so close, and regardless, I feel like someone has been hard done by. But we are going to get straight into it. Now, we will begin with goal of the season, and the club actually awarded this as well, and I'm going to go for it as well. The goal against Reading. It was absolutely incredible. A beautiful back-to-front goal, starting with Patterson, of course. Lovely, nice little triangles between the likes of Pritchard, Dhannoo, who put in an inch-perfect ball in behind that Reading defence for Jack Clark to cut inside and bury it. It was just incredible, just such a quick back to front goal. Everything was picturesque. It was Barcelona-esque, if anything, and it is absolutely worthy of goal of the season. There's plenty of goals throughout the season that were very similar to that, where we really have just worked from back to front, shown some really nice tic-tac of football, but that one for me, it was just so perfect. In a game in which I think Sims went off injured, we thought, how on earth are we going to even provide any form of threat? Sims went off and we ended up winning 3-0, and that was a sort of start of when we had literally 0 strikers, because obviously Stewart had already gone off injured. He was already out injured. Sims then went off injured, and that was the beginning of Sunderland with no strikers, and we become famously midfielder FC. You know, we even defenders, we have midfielders in midfield, we have midfield, of course, and our strikers in midfield as well. You get the gist of what I'm saying. So that just really epitomised Sunderland this season, and I love that goal. So yeah, that goal for Jack Clark is going to be getting goal of the season for me, and I think it's quite a lot of the Sunderland fans' goal of the season as well. Now for my underrated player of the season. Now I'm not too sure whether it is necessarily underrated as such, but just someone who I think doesn't quite get the praise that they should do, and it's none other than Mr. Sunderland, Luke O'Nien. He is going to get the underrated player of the season. And one of the main reasons I do give it to him, and this award, as well as others, could easily go to so many different players, but the reason I give it to Luke O'Nien is because I feel like when he sets foot wrong, or puts a foot wrong anywhere, the crowd jump on him so much in terms of social media attention. They jump on him so much, he gets so much grief, but then when he does well, you only hear little bits and pieces, and I think it's unfair. Maybe because he isn't the most technically gifted footballer, and some people don't really like his personality. I love his personality. He wears his heart on his shoulder. That's a strange play. Yeah, he wears his heart on his sleeve. You know, he absolutely loves the club. He's bought into it like so little players in recent seasons have. You know, he's bought into it straight away. His story in general is absolutely fantastic. You know, when he first comes to the club, he was dragged off on his debut at half-time because he played that badly. He had, a really tough start in League One where he just wasn't cutting it, and then he ended up having to fill in like right back and centre back here and there, and he found himself being probably one of our best defenders over the past sort of 3, 4, 5 years now, or 4 years now. He's been absolutely sensational, and he's been no different in the Championship. People thought to themselves, I remember there was a big debate as to whether he should be signing a contract over the summer, and eventually he did. A lot of people were saying, will he be good enough? He won't be good enough. He'll just be a utility player. He has been arguably one of our best defenders. Bar one, maybe. He's been one of our best defenders, and yeah, there's been 1 or 2 mistakes in there, but then he'll have a run of games, it'll be 5, 6, 7 games where he hasn't set a foot wrong, and he's always getting a 7 or 8 out of 10, but then no one mentions it. Hence why I'm going to give him the underrated player of the season, because he's been that good. He can fill in anywhere, left back, centre back, right back, centre mid, goalkeeper. Though I could do it. He's absolutely incredible, and he gets my underrated player of the season. Now for my most improved player of the season. This could have gone to so many players as well, But I'm going to give this one to none other than Trey Hume. When he did come in, I did think to myself, where is he going to fit in, particularly in the Championship? You know, he barely got a game in League One, didn't really get to see him too much. He got the odd cup game here and there, and due to injuries, he's been forced into that sort of starting 11, and my God, has he taken his chance. It just shows, you know, grit, determination, a little bit of luck as well with injuries. You need to take your chance, and he has done. He's one of the first names on the team sheet. When I think of right backs now, it's Trey Hume. It's Trey Hume, absolutely. He hasn't put a foot wrong, barely. You know, he's got a great leap on him. He's reading the game better and better. You know, and he's also got that sort of Sunderland way about him where he loves a crunching challenge. You know, he's not the biggest brute in the world, you know, and he's good with his feet. The link-up play between himself, Roberts, and Diallo has been, you know, so nice on the eye at times. And he's absolutely up there with him in terms of the footwork. Of course, I'm not going to say he's better technically or he's more technically gifted than the likes of Patrick Roberts or Diallo, of course not. But he doesn't look out of place when he's doing his nice fancy little triangles and passing moves down that right-hand side at all. So for me, it absolutely deserves to go to Trey Hume because, like I say, I didn't know whether he was even fit for League One, let alone anything else. And he's by far one of the best right-backs this season in the Championship. So it goes to Trey Hume. Now to my young player of the season. Again, literally all of our players are under the age of 22, 23, aren't they, or the majority, so it could have gone to a plethora, you know, it could go to many. It could go to Diallo, it could go to Dan Neil, it could go to Patterson, it could have gone to Trey Hume himself, but I'm going to give it to Jack Clark. I feel like Jack Clark, with his amount of numbers, his sheer amount of numbers, for me, it's been phenomenal in terms of assists and his goals, his contributions to goals in general. It's been phenomenal. He has been so consistent. I know that I remember at one period, I think it was around the Christmas time, where he went, I think it was sort of 8 or 9 games without a goal, and people were telling us, well, people were screaming from the rooftops to get him out of the team and stuff, but he was still getting assists. He was still constantly threatening back lines. It just wasn't coming off for him. And he's probably one of the first players on the team sheet. I think he's that dangerous. He has his flaws, of course. There's times where he holds on to the ball for too long, his decision making isn't quite there. But again, he's a young player and is one of those that I keep on saying, I've said in so many previews and reviews, is one of those players that you can predict what he's going to do. He loves to cut in from left to right, time and time again. You can predict it. You can say it's easy to read. But when you're that good at it, it doesn't matter whether you predict it or not because you can't stop the lad. His contributions with goals, he drags us up the pitch so often. And I think when you cancel out those just little errors, which all players make, regardless of age, in terms of maybe try to outplay it a bit too much or overplay it and then lose the ball in danger positions, he can be, I think he's got Premier League in him. Absolutely. So for me, again, you could have gone for Diallo as well, amongst others, but it's Jack Clark for me. I think he's an absolutely sensational footballer. I really, really like the lad and I really rate him. So Jack Clark gets my young player of the season. But now to the big one, and I know all those Sunderland players are sat at home watching this and thinking, I can't wait for that YouTube knobhead to give me an award or a thumbs up. But but yeah, my player of the award is no surprise. Sunderland have already done this. It is Danny Batth. Danny Batth has had an absolutely outstanding season, and for more reasons, you know, than have probably been mentioned by people. Not only has he been an absolute rock at the back, you know, he's had so many injuries around him, he's had to have so many different partnerships at the back, and he's still been so solid. He's been a leader across that back four, and at times it's been incredible to watch with how good he's been. We've got quite a short team around him, and he's just been that big brute, winning everything in the air, controlling that back four, the back line. He's been outstanding. He's shown his experience. But the big thing for me, and I have mentioned this before, last season, he barely got into the team. He struggled to get into the team. If you look, when he come in, I think he only had like 8 or 9 appearances last season. That's because Bailey Wright was preferred. So it was just sort of this 3rd or 4th choice centre-back, and he got on every now and then. He got on for the playoff final, but he barely played. He was barely chosen at all. So I didn't know whether even still be playing for us coming to the Championship. He dropped down from the Championship to come to us in League One, barely got a game, and it's another one who comes to the Championship, and he's played, 38, 39 games, almost every single game he's played, and he's been outstanding. So it's another story of, even in League One, didn't look the part, maybe, but then he's come up to the Championship, and he's been absolutely incredible. He absolutely deserves it. In a team full of these young players, technically gifted, we have those sort of old school roots through Danny Batth, and that's by no means a knock on his ability, because He has been absolutely outstanding, and I really hope to see him again next season leading that back line. He's been absolutely amazing. So my player of the season is absolutely Danny Batth. But that is it, guys. Those are my player awards this season. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who would you give in those categories the awards to? Let me know in the comments down below. But if you have enjoyed, hit the like button for me. It'd be massively, massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if not already to become a fully fledged member of the SUNDERLAND army. But for now, you take care and stay jammy.